This is video 2 of finishing up the notes for A-14, the ones that we started in class. And so what we're going to be looking at in this video is example 11. So there are 2 that are from your book from page 415, and then I've added one extra one. So this is similar to the one that we just did, but they get a little more complicated. So this one says, let's let x equal the log base 3 of p, y is equal to the log base 3 of q, z is equal to the log base 3 of r. So it says write each of these expressions in terms of x, y, and z. So very similar to what we just did. But in the first one, notice that we have the, and by the way, this is a 3 here for a base, this is a 3, this is a 2 up here, and this is a 3. And the other one I think you can read. So for the first one, we have the log of a quotient. And remember, the log of a quotient, if we go back here to our rules, becomes the difference of the logs. So this is going to turn into the log base 3, make sure you have that, of PQ minus the log base 3 of R. Then, excuse me, what I have here is the log of a product. And the log of a product, we know, turns into the sum of the logs. So this is going to turn into the log base 3 of P plus the log base 3 of Q minus the log base 3 of R. So now if I sub in the values, because remember I want this in terms of x, y, and z, the log base 3 of P is x right here, plus the log base 3 of Q is y, minus, and then the log base 3 of R is z. So we just get x plus y minus z. All right, for B, for this one, again, I have the log of a quotient, so this is going to turn into the log of the numerator, so the log base 3 of P cubed R minus, should be a parenthesis here, minus the log base 3 of Q to the third. Okay, remember again, that's what the original denominator was. I did a bad job of writing this here. Why that keeps freezing, I have no idea. So again, so the first one is just the log of the numerator. That's what you see here. And that should be squared, by the way. All right, I will get this fixed. There we go. And then divide, and then minus the log of the denominator. Okay, so now over here we have a product, and remember the log of a product is the sum of the logs, so log base 3 of P squared plus log base 3 of R minus log base 3 of Q to the third. All right, so now in 2 cases, right here and right here, we have the log of a power. And so remember the log of a power, I can bring the exponent out in front. So this is going to become 2 times the log base 3 of P plus the log base 3 of R minus 3 times the log base 3 of Q. So now when I sub in, I can see that log base 3 of P is x, so this becomes 2x, plus, and then log base 3 of R is this right here, so that's z, minus 3 times, and then the log base 3 of Q is the y. So we end up with 2x plus z minus 3y. Okay? All right, then the last one for C. So the trick with this one is that we have a product in the denominator that we have to be careful of. So just like the last one, we're going to use different rules, but our denominators were just a single power. Now this one has an extra little trick thrown in, and that is that we're taking the log base 3 of this thing to this power. So what you need to remember is, again, when you have the log of a power, you can bring that exponent in front. So this becomes 2 times the log base 3 of R divided by PQ squared. All right, then I have 2. Now, this is the log of a quotient, and the log of a quotient, remember, is going to turn into a difference. So that's going to have to be times that whole quantity. So I'm going to put parentheses. This will turn into the log base 3 of R minus the log base 3 of PQ squared. Right, now I look at this and it's still not simplified all the way because I have the log of a product. And so that divides up, the log of a product becomes the sum of the logs. Now this is where I have to be careful because I've got 2 times the log base 3 of r, and then this technically is going to turn into a sum, but I have the minus in front, so it's minus, and then I need parentheses again. It's going to be the log base 3 of p plus the log base 3 of q squared. So this came from this, and it's minus the quantity because of the minus sign here. So this becomes 2 times log base 3 of r. Then this is just going to turn into minus log base 3 of p is x, so I get minus x. And then when I distribute the negative here, I'm going to have minus, and then the 2 can come in front. I'm sort of doing several steps at once, so I get 2 times the log base 3 of q. So now when I sub in the log base 3 of r, we know is log base 3 of r is z, so this becomes 2z. Then minus, when I distribute here I get minus 2x, and then when I distribute here I'm going to get minus 4, and then the log base c of q sorry, where is it? Log base 3 of q is just y. Get rid of some of this mess here. Whoops. Right, log base 3 of q is y. So I end up with minus 4y for my final one.